it's necessary. Just flick this page. Well, I can't flick the page and show you lot, can I, people? But yeah, if I share my screen with you guys, initially, as you can see right here, that's Benfica's lineup essentially. That's how they was, they was in a back three, obviously at times. Why isn't this moving? At times, obviously, they're sitting in. But what did you see? They were getting high and wide. To be fair, their right back had no real quality apart from the free kick, and you had their midfield. So we knew what to expect, people. We knew what to expect going into the game. We knew they had the two strikers and one would drop in really and truly. And we know they dropped Nunes and Nunes came off the bench. For me, I think there were problems with how we was, I'm not going to go over all the talking, but just what I deem is the main talking points. Now, for me, in the first half, initially, people, it did look like it could get long for us purely because I did feel it's a game for the ballers, but I do think Arteta needs to show a bit more IQ. They clearly from the get-go, they were going to remain with their back three. They needed to get goals. So they were going to come back. They were going to get high and wide. So I think this is why you should have went with a Pepe on the left, Saka on the right, Aubameyang through the middle, or a Lacazette, because you saw. Now they didn't harm us too much, but you saw naturally, people. Saka, obviously, he's a 1v1 demon and whatnot, but 9 times out of 10, he's cutting in and being narrow. Bellerin's not overlapping, so that's killed us. I did feel, Smith Rowe, he doesn't want to hug the touchline. That's not his game. He's attracted to the ball. So you saw that, people. Do you get? Bellerin was quite narrow as well. You see, very slow to engage with people. So already quite narrow. So you've got Smith Rowe off there. You've got Saka at times going in and out because he'll get isolated. For me, Odegaard had a better game than I thought as well, watching the game again. But again, he's pulling out to wide areas because he wanted to link up with, let's say this is Ceballos and Saka and these sort of things. So again, Aubameyang's got no service. And from day dot, you saw Aubameyang pulling out either onto the last man's shoulder, out wide, or here. So again, at times there was no focal point, or you saw things like Aubameyang would go out there to the left and the right, and you actually saw Odegaard at a point do that, or Smith Rowe do that, or even Saka do that. Which again, it sounds good in theory, but the team's just going to get higher up the field, people, which was happening in the second half. I do think we was getting outdone, and I think that's where Arteta needs to have a bit more of an IQ. I do honestly believe that, people. Cut the track. There's a super chat, my guy. 1 second, people. Told you I would give you it since we went through. Got you again if we win on Sunday. Keep up the work. On top soon. Man called me Birdright. Hey, listen, bro, you should. It makes me uncomfortable that you've donated that much. $50. I appreciate that, but it's ridiculous, my guy, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, man, keep your money in your pocket, my guy. But love for that nonetheless. And at least you're a man of your word. And, I let the birds write one slide. I even see one in the comments going, oh, look at in my live in my live watch along the comments after on YouTube. Someone was like, what did someone say? They're like, oh, look at Stephen Bergeron. He's happy Arsenal have won. It's like, I wish I had £1 for every time you lot called me that. But I will get in. I am covering the draw, I don't want to talk about the draw while it's being drawn. When it's done, we'll get into it. But like I said, people, this is where Arteta needs a bit of IQ at times, because on another day it's different because their fullbacks were going forward. They just don't have quality, people. They didn't have that necessary amounts of quality in that regards. Now, this was our first goal. And again, Aubameyang, what I felt was a problem. I'm not going to go over the same points I did in the last game, but what I felt was an issue is that there was a lack of quality on the ball generally. There was a lack of movement. And the very few individuals like Aubameyang who wants to move and things, they weren't being found. And I think even when you look at Aubameyang, he knows when Saka gets it. For the second goal, obviously, again, I'm jumping ahead a bit, but for the second goal, you saw Saka, Aubameyang instantly. In fact, I got a tab for this. Where is it? Yeah, the goal you saw instantly. Aubameyang knew, I'm darting across and getting there. Obviously not to scale, the team shuffling across, but Saka is an intelligent baller. As you're told to put the ball into certain areas. You're told to put the ball here because it creates either someone gets there, gets something on it like Aubameyang, keeper uncertainty, defense uncertainty. That's the signs of intelligent football. Of course, he sees the run, and Aubameyang's movement is different. When certain men get the ball in this team, I see a different sort of, it's like Aubameyang comes to life, people, When Saka gets it, he's darting across, and it was good to see because that their Brazilian centre-half could see it happening, and he reacted too late. Obviously, it's more so over there, and then the ball's in the back of the net, people. Going back to the first goal, Odegaard had a good part to play in this, people. In fact, if I quickly scroll through my notes, very, very briefly, when we took the lead at 1-0, you know, it's 11, 12 passes, and Odegaard's helped build that from our own half into theirs, people. He did quite well. I think Odegaard's actually passed it to Bukayo Saka, and, you know, Aubameyang made this runs couple of moments before it happened. Again, not to scale, but long story short, eventually Bukayo Saka has the ability, the timing, and the quality to punch it inside. Aubameyang's onside. He's met the ball, and you see him do the rest. That was a very good goal, in my opinion. The last goal was very good as well. We worked very hard for that. Like I said, with Saka, there's no real need to talk about it, but shout out to Willian, Xhaka, and Kieran Tierney for the for Tierney's goal. I think they all worked very hard down this left-hand side. You know, Tierney, Xhaka, they all started it from this region, and then obviously Willian set up Tierney, who's taken a swipe, and he isn't going to score many, but it was an important one. I did think it was a good bit of play. In relation to the goals that we conceded, people, have I got them up here? Yeah. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about the free kick in it. The free kick, in fact, yes, I can. Where is it? I think I've lost it, people. Yeah, this is the first one, people. Apologies, yeah. This is the free kick. Now, take nothing away from the free kick, yeah? Take nothing away from the free kick. The free kick was amazing. What's going on here? Why has it moved me, people? Let me remove that and bring it back in. Why can't it? Okay. Oh, swear you can do wavy things like this. Sorry, people. I've just found out something on StreamYard. I didn't know I could move my face. All right, cool. Let's keep going, people. I can remove my face and it makes it a bit easier for you. Like, you learn something new every day. You see the equalizer that they scored, people, technically, yeah? On the face of it, there's nothing we could have done, you know? It's a free kick. Take nothing away. I'm not blaming anyone for that free kick. That free kick, is amazing. It's an amazing free kick. He's pull it home in it. But if you look at it in the build-up, Xhaka is unaware of, you know, Weigl's out of shot, and Weigl just gets into this space. Obviously, my man plays it. Xhaka's unaware, everyone else is unaware, but so is Ceballos. Ceballos is actually here, people. He stepped in. I don't think it's a foul, but he's made the foul, and he's went and scored, people. He's went and pull it into the back of the net. But we could have stopped that now. And again, if we look at where's the other goal they scored, people? Where is it? So many tabs. Yeah, this was the next goal, people. Not to scale, but as you lot remember, this was the goal that annoyed me the most. Obviously, it's Ceballos' fault. We should have been doing basics, people. But corner comes in now. As you know, it's this. You know, we didn't deal with it. Gabriel and David Luiz are hanging on the last post. I don't know what we've been working on in training. They've countered. Now, credit to Ceballos for actually getting back. You know, there's not enough man back. Ceballos is messed up. You know, Leno is actually going to come and clean that up, but he sees Ceballos has got that, so he goes back into his area. It's nothing to do with Leno, by the way. It's all Ceballos. Ceballos needs to be aware of his surroundings, and this is why you're told as a young player to keep running. Anticipate that very scenario is going to happen. You know, if Rafa said, "Cool, I'm going to stop running," you know, Ceballos, it might have looked shaky, but Leno probably would have come out and dealt with that. Instead, he gambles. And my man is not looking. You get some change when people do things like that. And the ball eventually ends up in the back of the net, people, which is obviously of no help to Arsenal Football Club. So, yeah, man, there was lessons we could have learned against Benfica. If I look at some of the other things as well, people, 1 second. This is very tricky to understand and bring myself back into. Exit full screen mode. Yeah, I'm back. In general, people, I've got some points here that I just felt were some themes of the game. Oh, we've zoomed right in there, haven't we, people? 200. I think we was too narrow at times, and I've given the example with Odegaard and that. We were struggling to play 5-yard passes. A lot of it is basically how we play in the Premier League, people. A lot of it is how we play in the Premier League. I feel there was ultimately no bravery in possession. The very few players that were, Odegaard, Saka, you see what happens. We're not playing with a purpose. I think Bellerin was too narrow. I think Smith Rowe was getting sucked inside, and you had Odegaard, you know, peeling into pockets. There was no tactical discipline. We just had a bunch of technically good footballers, and we was looking unsure. I think we was far too open on the transition. You know, again, you're playing Leicester. They will exploit you on the weekend if you do that. Ultimately, a general point is we're making games harder than it needs to be, which is another case. Conceded another cheap goal. Conceded a lot of space, too much space for me. But at the same time, it's great mental character, of course, to get back into the game regardless, because we all know the headlines that would have been written. For me as well, side note, I have no clue how Arteta rates his players and things like that, because Lacazette ain't really been playing, Pepe ain't played, Williams, come on. Just when you're starting to think you understand things about Arteta, it's not making sense, people. I think we started better than I thought. It weren't as boring as I thought. I think we looked very nervous at 1-1 for a period in that second half. Even our back line was guilty of miscommunication. You know, Tini and Leno getting angry at each other. David Luiz and Gabriel, who I think were doing all right, slipping into old habits. Aubameyang, again, tactically, we were kind of disorganized because Aubameyang's going out wide. Smith, Odegaard's finding pockets. Smith Rowe is as well. And Saka's going centrally. So it looked like there was a bit of undiscipline. I've kind of mentioned that. So ultimately, it was very disjointed. I've mentioned that as well. Because going for technical players, I think that made us somewhat disjointed. I did think we needed more runners and stuff like that. Look how we scored that Tierney's goal, just from getting down the flanks, really and truly. That's just my notes about the goal, people. If you care about statistics, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is now our 6th all-time goal scorer in European competition with 14 goals. He's up there with Ljungberg. I don't know. I copied and pasted this. Shout out to Orbino. I don't know why Ljungberg spelled incorrectly there, but it is what it is. Goal involvements, I'm sure goals and assists. You can see it there. Oba's got 14. Laka's got 13. Saka's got 12. Pepe's got 10. Smith Rowe's got 8. Saka's been Saka has 9 goal involvements in his last 12 starts in all comps, 5 goals, 4 assists. Arsenal have scored 4 goals from just 7 shots on target over 2 legs, which again shows you that we made this, we made this harder than it needed to be. We're not shooting enough. We're not clinical enough. We're giving teams too much leeway and encouragement to get back into the game, people. So yeah, we've got to do a bit better in that regard. So again, what we do with possession, how we score goals, they're themes that these things could have been said about any Premier League game we've played. More Bukayo Saka propaganda. He has scored 3 and assisted 8 goals in his last 10 in the Europa League. Arsenal have fallen behind in 4 of our 8 Europa League games this season, but we've come back to win 3 and draw 1. Sorry. So again, that's not it shows heart and determination, but that show if I was somebody, and we're going to get into the draw in a bit. If I was part of the, I would want to play Arsenal because they've made it, one of the worst Benfica teams in a while. They haven't been out of it after 180 minutes. You've struggled against them. So I think anyone will relish Arsenal in the next stage of the Europa League. Statistically, shout out to Leno as well for making his 100th appearance for Arsenal. He's the first goalkeeper to win his 100th appearance for the club since John Lukic in 1986, people. David Seaman, Jens Lehmann, Almunia, Szczesny and Cech all failing to do so since then. Now, obviously, I was a young bull coming up when David Seaman was my guy, when it was better Arsenal time. So I would have thought he at least had 200. Shout out to Jens, 100, sorry. Shout out to Jens. Didn't think you lot would get there anyways. And Cech obviously weren't here long enough. Since the start of last season, no player has provided more assists in the UEFA Europa League than Bukayo Saka with 8. Tierney is the first Scottish player to score for Arsenal in major European competition since Willie Young against IFK Göteborg in March 1980. So he's the first Scotsman to do this in my lifetime. Since the start of last season, Bukayo Saka's provided more assists in all comps than any other Arsenal player with 17. Well, you can see his game here by numbers, people. I'm not going to read them all out. I'm just here for the propaganda. When you look at, shout out to Willian, he had 5 touches. His 5th touch was an assist, and he did look a bit more positive. Aubameyang has scored in 7 of his last 8 matches in the cup for us, people. So it's all right. And that's the Leicester sort of preview that we'll get into in a bit. So from a tactical point of view, that is all I have to say in relation to